Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the
Takes the lead on the final lap of the race.
Hello everybody and welcome back to PSGL Season 36 Round 5 for F3 at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, and I am joined by my co-commentary and co-host and co-friend. It's Josh Griffin Meeks. I got it.
You put an S on the end again, Alex. We rehearsed this religiously and you keep putting an S on.
I almost got that so right.
Yeah, almost. You got everything else right apart from the last letter. But anyway, it's lovely to be back here at PSGL for round 5 around Montreal. Certainly an interesting circuit, a very different one compared to what we saw last week. But of course, last week was last week. This week is this week. It's going to be interesting to sort of see how the drivers are going to be able to adapt. But let's remind ourselves of what happened. Of course, we had Austria. Certainly a lot of antics going on, a fair little bit of contact as well, which I'm sure the stewards weren't too happy with, but at the end of the day, they managed to sift through all the reports and be able to come up with a couple of penalties. So, the drivers who ended up receiving penalties, we've got Valentino Labella and Tope for lap 1, turn 9. Tope received a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision, and then it's almost deja vu. Lap 39, turn 9, with Alexander Dimas and Tope. Again, Tope picking up another 5 seconds for a collision. Certainly not in the good books here, but is returning once again today to try and show that last week was just a one-off, and around a more technical, a more dangerous circuit, he's going to be absolutely lethal, and I for one can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do. So, having a little dispute at the minute about the drivers who can race. It's been a little bit of a shambles, but we've still got a very tight championship on our cards.
Yeah, we certainly do. Obviously leading, well, joint leading the championship is Mr. Parodi and then Zelenkovic in first and second, both sitting on 28 points. And then just behind him, Moreno on 27, and then Riccardo Benzoni on 22. So it's very close in terms of our top 4 here, Josh.
It really, really is. We're seeing, everything being so close, so tight, so congested. For me personally, I really want to see, the likes of Kai Pearce and Bogdan Moldovan come out with a strong result here today, just to really throw another curve in the mix and really try and jostle some stuff about. And yeah, of course, let's just mention chat here once again. If you're not familiar with my commentary style or Alex's, we tend to be a little laid back, so we're more than happy to read and interact with you over on the YouTube chat. We've got Mark Steele Jr. saying weather in Montreal 11 degrees cloudy and a track temperature of 15 degrees Celsius.
What does that mean?
Well, Celsius is a measurement of temperature, Alex.
I only know Fahrenheit.
Oh, yes, okay, right. What's a kilometer?
What's a kilometer?
Right, okay. Let's not get going into that. But
you're not a Logan Sargent fan?
No, less said the better. But no, we do have, this fantastic circuit, of course. You've got so many technical corners, 16 of them, in fact. It can be very hard of a breaks, but you do have enough DRS zones to kind of bring you back into a little bit of an operating window. Well, I mean, just thinking about the overtaking opportunities down into turn 10, they are absolutely abundant, aren't they? You've got turn 10. You've even got heading into turn 14 at the Wall of Champions. So many different places you can really try and put your car where maybe you shouldn't, but sometimes it creates the best overtakes.
Yeah, it certainly does. And Canada has been known for its explosive action on circuit, hasn't it? Always, sometimes maybe a bit of rain as well. At the Canadian Grand Prix, we do tend to see that quite a lot because of the...
Think back to when Jenson Button... Oh my, what a Grand Prix. I remember watching it.
2011.
Getting bored, going and playing on my PlayStation to play F1, and I came downstairs. The race was still going. I didn't understand it, but I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed it. But, real question, looking from here on out, Alex, are the drivers going to enjoy this circuit? Because we have got them all loaded into the game, and we're starting to see a couple cars rolling out the pit lane. So let's check it over.
What do we normally see?
And well, normally they would be taking a little bit more time, trying to get themselves prepared. You know, making sure they've got all the setups equipped. But everyone seems to be having a mad dash out the pit lane here.
Is there rain on the horizon, maybe, Mr. Joshua?
There might be. Maybe Mark Steele was onto something, saying about it being so cold in Canada at the moment. This might be a potential for a couple little droplets here and there, but only time will be able to tell. As we do have Matthew Adler here rolling out with a Mercedes, and you can see he's not alone. We've got the McLaren. I believe that is Riccardo Benzoni currently leading the field, but of course he's going to get overtaken by Matthew Adler there. Obviously, position isn't everything in the qualifying. Where you start on the track, sometimes you want to be towards the front, get a bit of clean air. Sometimes you want to be further towards the back, make sure you get a more ribbon-in surface. But something we're going to have to just keep an eye on for all these drivers is their attitude to this qualifying segment. Because we know Canada, we know it can cause a couple of, you know, instances where drivers might lose it, spin around, get ghosted. It will avoid contact, but at the same time, it's still going to be awfully distracting for the drivers here.
Yeah, it certainly is. And also Canada known for its horrendous track limits as well.
Oh.
I mean, there is some horrendous track limits. I think Matthew Adler is about to show us the first major track limit point here. Down the second to last main straight before going into, you know, the chicane and the wall of champions, Josh. Now, these two corners here through that chicane, so easy to invalidate your laps because you want to do it at full pelt, of course, because you're coming around the final corner. But one little over track limits and you can cost the entire lap as Matthew Adler begins his first lap here at Canada.
Absolutely. You see Matthew there taking turn 1, turn 2 a little bit cautiously. Looking to just try and conserve those tyres a little bit for this middle sector because this is where it can be very harsh on the tyres, making sure you're putting a lateral load through before slamming it on the brakes, chucking it in over the curb. We see a lot of cars lose balance on that second curb towards the right-hand side at turn 7, but he's done a fantastic job being able to bounce it across here. You see him move over to the right-hand side here, getting a couple marbles on his tyres, just trying to shorten the track to every potential limit. As we see the last driver joining the session, Timo Zelenkovic. Lovely to have you here once again to race, but at the minute, Matthew Adler's looking to try and hold it as late on the brakes as possible, entering the hairpin. Now, it's all about the exit, making sure he's getting that comfortable amount of traction. He doesn't want the wheel spin churning. He's going to keep to the right-hand side of the ball here, right up to that beautiful PSGL sponsor board, #ad, to really try and minimise the time difference overall before slinging it into this final chicane. Let's see how the track limits are holding up. They've been pretty well behaved so far, but I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time until we start seeing a couple changes here and there to do with them.
It's a stonking lap time on the board to begin with. 108.9. Already into the 108s. And Bogdan did invalidate his lap. Did a 109.0. 108.9 for Riccardo Benzoni. We're going to see his lap times go down. Thomas Laminen, 109.3. As suspected, Josh. I don't know why I'm surprised. We know how fast these guys are. Every time we say it, they're so fast. But a lot of people, just flicking through some names here, a lot of people got invalidated lap times on that first attempt.
Yeah. You know, it's expected around something like Canada, very much same as Austria. You know, you want to risk it, you want to try and gain every, you know, tenth of a second you can on this circuit, but at the end of the day, you pay the price if you try and gain too much. As we're on board here with Tony Roche coming up towards the line. It's a 109.1. Not quite the sort of pace we're used to seeing from Tony Roche as of recent, are we? He's been on an absolute tear of form, obviously winning the last race out around Austria as well. So he's going to be looking to try and, you know, hop up just a little bit further on the board. But we do have Mark once again back in the YouTube chat saying the track has a history of weather changes during the race from wet to dry and vice versa. Certainly does, and I for one, I don't want to jinx it for any of these drivers, but I would very much like to see a little bit of wet weather coming out.
Yeah, I'd like to see some. I'd like a bit of wet race, but I want a wet dry race, Josh. I want it to switch between them. Having a full wet race or a full dry race isn't any fun. We want a switcher.
Yes.
We want a little of a switcher upper.
Well, I feel like that's a song, and I've, you know, grossly misunderstood what you're trying to say. But
Well, I was gonna. It's off fixer upper, but I changed it to switcher upper.
What's fixer upper?
I think it's the song from Frozen that the gnomes sing.
There's a gnome in Frozen?
Not gnomes. The goblins? No, the
Goblin?
trolls. The trolls. The stone trolls. They go swee.
Chat, please let me know if Alex is you know, just completely out of this world, or if I'm just grossly misremembering the film. I don't feel like I know what on earth he's on about. He might as well be in a land with stone trolls. But Tom Roberts here had a massive slide, didn't he, coming up through 7. That'll impact his lap time, and as we expected, slightly further down the order. Currently at the bottom of all those who have set a lap time with a 109.4. But we know, because of that slide, he has a little bit more time to try and improve. As we've also got Timon in the YouTube chat saying, here to see my Pookie Bear win.
Who's that?
I would assume he's trying to talk about Riccardo Benzoni.
I would
get
imagine
jealous.
so.
Alex, don't get jealous. It's okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not jealous. Why would I be jealous?
But I feel like it's only fair if we talk a little bit about Riccardo. Now, he's
Which one? The good one that's in this lobby, or the one that's not doing good in real life?
the talented one, of course.
Oh, the talented one. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah. The actual good Ricardo. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's been a tough one for him, hasn't it, so far in this championship? It started out so well, and it slowly just fell away, but he's been able to recoup a little bit of form after that crash at Monaco. He got some good points around Austria. He's looking to build on it here. Currently P4, but how far can he go, Alex?
How far can he go? Well, yeah, I was going to say McLaren. I think McLaren have had a bit of drop in form, really, and I think that, you know, some will say it could have affected him after the whole. Of course, we obviously lost one of our McLaren drivers early on in the season, and I think that did change up the, you know, the feeling around the team. But yeah, Riccardo Benzoni really trying to get himself back in form. So hopefully he can pick up the form train here in Canada. I'm not sure if it's a circuit he enjoys, but Canada is one of those circuits once again which, like Austria last week, it's a very short circuit. You can't really, you know, gain too much time, and it could be very interesting. We've got a double slipstream there for the Aston Martin down the main straight as we're watching Riccardo Benzoni.
Absolutely. I'm sure Nando Moreira won't mind that one too much. Tell you what, let's have a little quick hop over and see what sort of lap time he's going to be able to pull out the back. Notice how he doesn't keep it over to the far right to minimise the distance. He wants to kind of bring it back across to the left, maybe going for, you know, a more traditional racing line, trying to line him up with turn 1. But again, could potentially, you know, cost him a little bit of time here and there. So that's going to be something he's going to have to be mindful about when it comes to the later runs in the qualifying stage. But we do have Matthew Adler now trying to swing it in to this turn 10. It's a fantastic corner, isn't it? It gives so many great opportunities to go for moves as well. But we've not only seen moves though, we've seen catastrophes happen.
Yeah, Robert Kubica is the one that comes to mind in that corner. I think he flew, didn't he? He flew on that corner, and his entire, I believe he was in the BMW back in those days, basically dissolved in front of our eyes. But Matthew Adler dissolving the top of the timesheets, goes 1:08.7 there as we get our fastest lap time of the session. Provisional pole is his, as it stands.
Absolutely. We will have the 2 Ferrari drivers coming across the line. That being Tony Rocher, as you can see on your screen. And then slightly further up the road, we got Tomasz Laminen getting that lovely little bit of slipstream before the chicane. It's imperative that he's able to try and maximise every single second behind the slipstream of the cars in front to try and improve his lap time. But he's only able to hop up there into P12. You've got to say, that's slightly disappointing from a Ferrari driver, as Tony Rocher puts it slap bang on the front row.
Yeah, good lap from Tony Rocher. He's obviously, you know, we've been saying he's picking up, he's picking up good form, but to be honest with you, in the championship, you'd expect him to be a bit further up, considering how well he's been doing. But he hasn't really gained that many points in the last few races.
Yeah, he's certainly had, you know, a good start, but it slowly just seemed to creep away. But Simeon Viola there, doing brilliantly to put himself back up in the front row. We could see here how close all the gaps are between the drivers. We've realistically got the top 10 separated by, well, 0.3 of a second, don't we? It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting seeing how the rest of these drivers handle the qualifying, because at the minute we've got quite a mixed run plan. All the drivers kind of going out wherever they want to, I suppose.
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see. Simone Violi, I think people have been really surprised by how good he's been doing the last few races. The Sauber driver, I've been really enjoying his job. I just like the Sauber, to be honest with you. So I'm always a big fan of the Sauber. But yeah, someone else that I think we should pay attention to a bit, Josh, is obviously, you know, we got a few people down here in the bottom half that haven't actually set a lap time yet. One of them being Mr. Zelenkovic, who's down in 19th so far, not set a lap time.
Yeah, you know, you would have to think, well, you know, one of the... Oh, I didn't ignore it there, taking a slightly different line to get into the pit lane. But you know, you would think a driver with the quality of Timo Zlenkovic would be able to pull out one of those brilliant lap times. You know, the sort of lap times we saw from, you know, the prime Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull, where he can just go out last minute, set a lap, get the run. Brilliant.
Prime Sebastian Vettel.
You never know.
Did you say Vettel or Vettel?
Sebastian Vettel.
Because some people say Vettel, even though it's not Vettel.
Well, some people would say he won the race around here, but the stewards would disagree.
He won the race around here, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we saw, right there with Timo Zlenkovic, invalidating the lap time, heading through.
Instantly.
I believe that was turn 3 there. He cut a little bit too much. Again, having to run himself all the way back round. It's unfortunate, but at least he's learning now in the qualifying. Last thing he wants to do is to go out there on track, make these mistakes in the race, and end up picking up time penalties here, there, and everywhere. So he's getting a little bit more running on the circuit, and he can kind of break himself in just a little bit easier. But it's going to be a tough one. You know, he's put in the Discord chat, you know, he's not had time to do setup, he's not had time to do practice. A very last minute fill, but certainly going to be looking to give it his all here today.
Yep, he certainly was, and he gives his all every time he races. Someone who is giving it all right now is Race right now. In 14th place, but found 2/10 in the first sector, 2/10 in the middle sector. Could be on for a very good lap here, Josh.
Yeah, of course, he's going to be looking to try and get a little bit of toe there from the Haas car, but of course, Haas car going so slowly, he's not really giving off too much of a slipstream, so Reyes decides to stick it to the racing line to make sure he's prepared for the braking zone heading through the wall of champions. You can see how tightly he's going to hug that right-hand side to try and gain any sort of lap time.
Lost a bit of time.
As he comes across there for P11. Ooh, do you think he took the wall of champions a little too quickly?
I think he did, and I don't think he's running that much straight line speed, Josh, because considering he was almost 4/10 up before hitting that back straight, to lose that much time just in... Well, there's only one little sector left, isn't there? That's just that main straight. So yeah. You would expect, unless he really messed up the Wall of Champions, which again is easy to do because a lot of people take it a bit safely because they don't want to get themselves, you know, go straight off. As we see, well, the man who you were talking about needed a bit of form pickup, Riccardo Benzoni on provisional pole right now, 106, 108.6. If it was 106, that'd be very impressive. 108.6.
Very impressive if it was 106. We've also got Javier Domine here looking to get his lap time on the board. Currently still without one. And you've got to start thinking, we're getting into the last 5 minutes, last 4 minutes of qualifying. This is where everyone's going to be diving it back into the pits, setting on a brand new set of tyres and really giving it the rule. So we could potentially see a couple mistakes creeping in. But we got Daniel Parodi hopping up into P3, Matthew Adler P2. It's all looking very hunky-dory so far, isn't it, for the Williams driver? But you compare that to the opposite side of the garage. Alexander Dimash, down there, P15, needs a solid improvement.
He certainly does. He certainly does. But he has looked really good. And he is, you know, he's just got to improve a little bit more. But only a few minutes left in this session now, Josh. 4 minutes 30 to be exact. We've got people improving their lap times. Toppy is in 3rd place. Adler still in 2nd. Riccardo Benzoni is coming into the pits for what will be his final tyre set. Elliot Norin just doing his first lap. A lot of excitement in these last few laps, Josh.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be ecstatic watching these drivers push it to the absolute limits around Montreal. I cannot wait to see what's going to be happening here for a lot of these drivers. We know they like to risk it, as we see Tony Rocheva jump up into P3. I'm confident we'll see maybe one or two drivers just overdrive the car slightly, you know, have little moments like that, as we saw with Elliot getting a little too close to the wall for liking. Good job he was able to flick the rear out there and try and just protect that front wing, because it's going to be absolutely crucial around here to ensure they get as much downforce on the front end as possible, so when they do decide to slam it on the brakes, they can rub off so much more speed by chucking it so deep into the corners and kind of keeping that car balanced, because a lot of the curves around here will happily try and displace your car in any which way possible, won't they?
They'll bounce you. They'll bounce you wherever wherever you don't want to go. It's a horrible curb situation here at Canada,
yeah, it's either Wall of Champions, you know, exit out of turn 9, wherever really. You know, they've got no regard for the driver's safety, and that's something we take seriously here at PSGL. We're going to remove every single curb.
Yeah, well, it's not curbs I want to get rid of. It's which is the horrible barriers that I really want to get rid of.
The just pure concrete ones.
Yeah, or you know the ones that Grosjean crashed into at Bahrain's, is it the Tech Pro ones?
No, Tech Pro ones are the foam ones.
Oh, what are the metal ones? The metal barriers.
What, steel girders?
Yeah, I need to get rid of those.
I don't think we got too many around here, if any.
If any, but yeah, I mean, just in general, I'm just talking about things to get rid of. Obviously, Josh would get rid of Max Verstappen if he could, but
I just want Ferrari to win, okay? It's nothing personal against Max. I'm just a
Charles
Ferrari
probably still
fan.
wouldn't win.
Yep, Carlos would win, but it's still Ferrari. I'll take that any day of the week. Very
Do you
similar.
think Carlos would actually win that? That's a genuine question.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, wholeheartedly. But let's stop focusing on the Verstappen domination in real Formula 1. We're here in the sim world to take a little break from listening to the Dutch national anthem. So, everyone in chat, please feel free to give us your predictions for who you think in this last 2 minutes of qualifying is going to be able to come and pull out an absolute banger to grab themselves pole position. And if you're feeling confident, try and guess the exact lap time they'll set. If so, Alex Harriman will personally send you a letter congratulating you on your future knighthood.
I will. Yes, I'll actually do that. You didn't do as bad as what I did when I told chat to do that. So could have said like $50,000, mate. I don't have that.
Wow.
Just bear that in mind.
Matthew Bassett starting his lap time here. Now,
Early.
Yeah, I've had a little talk with Matthew over the last couple of months. I had a great pleasure of meeting him over in the NEC for the Autosport. And he's a fantastic young lad, and he knows exactly the best opportunities to try and find himself that perfect bit of track. And you can see here, he knows exactly what to do. He went a little earlier. He's going to have to slowly just keep building that pace up in that car before really starting to push it. But you can see Thomas Lamminen here on a fast lap behind. He's not bailed out. He's more than willing to try and give it a good run. We see Matthew there just moving to the left-hand side as Thomas now comes through. But he's let off as well. We could have a little bit of a jostle for position here between these two drivers, right?
They want the prime track position. That's what it is. They want prime track. Oh my God, that car park in the final sector. I've just had a look at the map,
Yes.
Josh.
Yep.
Goodness me, lads.
Well, at least we're going to get a lobby restart. Less chance of crashes.
That's true. Well, just keep an eye on lap. Tom Roberts on a good lap. He's up about 0.4 of a second, and he's run a little bit more in the final sector to get himself further up the grid.
Here. Oh, he's going to get absolutely... Okay, right, the Mercedes has decided to get grooving, get its move on. Bogdan there, very close. Tap for Wall of Champions. That'll cost him a couple tenths of a second.
10 seconds. I don't think... Oh, Tom Roberts is going to make the line, yeah, but not to start on a lap. So Tom Roberts' final lap time in qualifying jumps him from 18th to 8th. Good improvement there, Josh, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot more improvement. Dimas, Bassett, both retiring from the session there, and Dimas only 17th.
Yeah, into the Wall of Champions by the looks of it there. You see that wheel pops
Parodi only 4th.
Parodi hops up into 4th place, but we do have some very quick drivers coming across the line, the likes of which Leschen Rosenberg not able to improve. Whoa, where's Reyes? P30
Can't improve. He's
invalidated.
got invalidated lap time. I think a lot of people have got invalidated. The JST is parked up. He's crashed in the last part of the session. Nana Morena, Amzad Maria improving. Zelenkovic improved just slightly. Thomas Lamminen on an invalidated lap time. Linhart did set a lap time, but I think it was invalidated as well. Having a look at that, Riccardo Benzoni goes a little bit faster, takes provisional pole. Let's see if anyone can improve. Adler's on an invalidated lap time. Tony Richet across the line. He can't. Oh my God, he misses out by one thousandth of a second. One thousandth of a second on pole. Oh my God.
And Jay both aren't on a lap here, so that'll round out the qualifying for us here. I mean, as far as things go, Riccardo Benzoni picking up a pole position here once again, but looking at 1,000th behind Tony Richet P2. Certainly going to be hungry to try and get the overtake heading down into turn 1. Do you think it's feasible, though? Is it feasible around Montreal to really try and go for that move?
Well, we've seen a few people do it before. I think Sebastian Vettel did it once. One year he did it from third on the grid, and he got both Mercs on the start of the line in 2016. But yeah, look how close that grid is. Oh my goodness me, that is what we want to see. But we will have a lobby restart. Why having a lobby restart, Josh? You know what the fans can go do?
Read through the group of us. So, we've got Riccardo Benzoni, Tony Richet, Matthew Adler, Daniel Parodi, Tope, Simeon Violo, Javier Domine, Nando Moreira, Tom Roberts, Bogdan Moldovan, Leschen Rosenberg, P11, looking forward to him trying to, creep his way back up and potentially get a top 5. JS Day, Elliot Noren, Ivan Santamaria, Tima Zelenkovic, Reyes, Matthew Bassett, Thomas Laminen, Alexander Dimash, and Sixten Lindhart. But, Alex, come on, man. I suppose I'll let you waffle. What do you want to waffle about?
I think we need to show the lovely fans that have been watching that qualifying session while we have a lobby restart. A quick break, quick ad break, you might say.
Ad break. Well, I feel like there's two better companies to really take the mantle for that. Obviously, GT Omega, the fantastic producers of our beautiful chairs. I went the wrong way. Very comfortable.
They're there.
Keep me nice and cool. Keep me nice and warm. It kind of just, it feels like I'm always having a hug here. It's absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, we do have SRC as well with the new F124 lobbies. Lobbies?
Setups. That you can pre-order now.
Available for pre-order as well.
Actually, I already have them.
I know you do. I mean, I've heard some very good things about them already from a couple of the drivers who have been able to test them. But until then, we'll catch you around. But yeah, stay tuned. Race is starting. Just a little bit. Well, we are back, and boy, do we have a little bit to talk about there. Nando Moreira not getting the best qualifying gives a brilliant opportunity for Riccardo Manzoni to try and jump ahead a couple of these drivers, and then of course Timo Zelenkovic. Oh, it's looking like a tough one, isn't it? Filling in over on the Alfa Romeo side.
No, but what a qualifying session, though, Josh.
Yes. Absolutely. It was very close, very intense, very fun, very passionate as well from a lot of the drivers. It's lovely to see them all communicating in the Discord now, congratulating how close they all got to one another in qualifying. Just being part of PSGL family is absolutely fantastic sometimes, isn't it, Alex? It could be a very wholesome place.
Isn't it just, Josh? And how can these lovely fans that are watching right now join this PSGL family?
By scrolling down in the description, getting yourself involved. If you feel like you're a pretty quick driver, come race. Come give it a go. You could potentially find yourself, maybe racing up in the likes of F6, F5, F4. We've got divisions for everywhere and everyone. We even have assisted divisions as well. For those of you who are more towards mine and Alex's pace, who might not necessarily be able to extract the full amount out of these cars, like these fantastic drivers. Alex, the only reason you can go quick is because you've got PVA glue on your tyres. But
it's true. I'm a very sticky guy. That's not.
You could serve me sometimes, but
let's move on.
Yeah, after that qualifying, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a long race. 35 laps won't feel like a long amount of time, but having that little window there where they're going to have time to overthink, especially because of the lobby restart, getting to the rhythm, 2, 3, 4 laps in, some drivers might be thinking about trying to go for an undercut, some drivers might think about going a little bit longer on that set of tyres. There's a lot which really goes into it, and sometimes a couple of these drivers feel like they're just falling away a little bit because they've got given this opportunity where they can start planning stuff out, thinking forward.
Yeah, it can be one of those tricky things where you have to try to reset your brain and okay, right, that's qualifying done. I've got to go into the race now and get these things done. From what I've seen also, Josh, unfortunately, we're going to have a dry race here today. So one of the guys, we're going to be having a full dry race. No wet Canada this afternoon. I'm sorry, everyone. I know it's what everyone wanted.
No! It's okay. It's fine. Right, okay. Chat, we need a massive favour from you right now. Let's pick Francie, Mark, Harry Nuns, Carlson. Not Nathan Richards. Can't trust him to do anything. Need you guys to go to Montreal, start putting a little bit of water out on track, try and just get it a little wet for a start. That's all we need. Just a small bit of water. That's all we need.
Just a little bit. Just a little sprinkle. Just a little
Tiny bit.
sprinkle.
You know, whether it's 2 litres of your favourite, you know, pop drink or...
What is your favourite pop drink?
Pepsi. Of course it is.
Mine is Diet Coke. I won't show you the sponsor because we might get
Sponsor?
flagged, but...
Mate,
No, we're not sponsored by Diet Coke.
So that'd be interesting, but nevertheless, you know, just go out there, sprinkle a little bit of water about, make it a little interesting. But again, we will have to thank every single one of you for sticking with us during this moment, waiting for the lobby restart, waiting for the grid to get ordered once again. It can be long, it can be tedious. We know, we're aware. It's just one of the beautiful features of the Formula 123 game. One of the reasons why I'm so excited for F124 to be around the corner.
It's close, isn't it?
It is very close.
It's May, which is obviously the earliest an F1 game has ever been launched in history. So that means it has to be the best F1 game ever launched in history.
True. I like that. I like that. Earlier the better.
Earlier the better. Yeah. The early bird gets the worm, as they say.
Yes, absolutely. You know, Mark's put in a great point in YouTube chat saying one-stop mediums to softs or hards depending on safety cars. Safety cars are something which could potentially maybe ruin a couple of the drivers' races, or maybe just slightly, or maybe heavily affect our strategy calls, because we know how close walls are around Montreal. You've got to account that into your strategy.
If we don't get a safety car, I'll be very surprised. It's one of those circuits which... It's a circuit that breeds safety cars, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, you know, you look at some circuits, you think you're not going to get a safety car around there because of the enormous runoff area or whatever. But a circuit like Canada, where you're close to the walls, you know, there's a wall on every corner, you're going to get a safety car at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a red flag. I don't think red flags are on.
They're not on. But
they should be. What stops red flags being on at this point?
Some beautiful EAF1 features.
I thought they fixed that.
Thought wrong.
Maybe next game. Maybe next game.
Not going to say anything. But, you know, it's going to be interesting. Especially considering now all the drivers have a fresh allocation of tyres, given the lobby restart. A couple of those...
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
A couple of those who might have burned for every single set of soft tyres they have would have just been preparing for a medium hard, you know, boring day at the office, trundling around. All of a sudden, they get given a couple sets of soft tyres. Say, there you go, take it away, have fun, spoil yourself, absolutely go for it. For me...
Yeah, let's get two-stop on.
For me, personally, yeah, sure, why not? Double it up, soft tyre, hard tyre.
Or the 3-stop.
I'll tell you what, 4-stop.
If
Soft
anyone does
tyre,
a 3 or
soft
4-stop,
tyre,
we'd love to see it.
intermediates.
Yeah. Or if you want to do 2-stop, go to do a 3-stop. Do soft, medium.
Literally what I just said.
No, you said soft. You said soft, medium, inter.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
Here it is. I never said they had to be racing when they put on intermediate tyres.
True, good point.
Just take the car back round off the island, you know, ship it back over to the mainland, just drive around Montreal. Road legal intermediate tyres. Pirelli, you're welcome. Fantastic stuff. But we are currently discussing about the weather because apparently it was rumoured that there was one box of wet weather expected for a couple drivers, but not all the drivers.
Oh. Well, obviously we don't know how the weather's been set up, so we won't know how that goes.
No, it's interesting. They have come to an agreement now, though, and it does look like it'll be wholly a dry race.
Ah, that's a shame.
Shame. It is a shame, but again, you know, I feel like it can add something else to this race. Knowing the drivers, they've got fresh sets of tyres. We know this grid by now. With 5 rounds in, they're hungry. They want to race. They're more than willing to give it a go. So I'm expecting some audacious overtakes, some bold strategy calls, and maybe even one or two last-minute dives down the inside at the hairpin at turn 10. But I suppose we're going to have to wait until the lobby restarts right there. So, hopefully, we can get ourselves ready to go, because I do believe all the drivers have finally readied up. So, let's chuck it over to the game.
I just want to point something out, Josh, here. That I've been reading the general chat.
Yes.
And there's a possibility that there could be one. I know you were saying you said in chat there might be a box of rain, but apparently that is what we are going with. If only it could be sunny, then Inter, and then a bit of cloud.
I am so confused. It'll be a lovely surprise for us regardless, won't it?
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure exactly how this is going down, but we'll see how it goes down. But maybe it's better for us that we don't know. That's the excitement of a PSGL race, everyone.
Absolutely.
Especially for F3. It does look very sunny, I must say.
Yeah, it does look... You know, I wouldn't necessarily mind having a sun lounger there. Maybe not in the middle of the pit lane, in case anyone dives into the pit lap one, but somewhere on this circuit, maybe, you know, slightly outside of a way of a track, because it looks beautiful.
Yep, it certainly does. I love Canada as a circuit. It might be one of my favourite circuits of all time. I personally enjoy racing it as well. So this is what we want to see. We want to see good racing here. We got 20 cars, 20 of the best F3 drivers around, Josh.
You know,
all fighting for position.
I would even say, because of the placements with PSGL, a couple of these drivers could very easily move up into F2 and still win. A couple of these drivers might even be able to put it onto the F1 grid and really give some of the drivers, you know, like Jarno Otmir, a good run for the money. Thomas Ronhaar, for example, could give him a good run for the money to try and find places. We saw it with Lillian as well. The moment Lillian won the championship, hopped up into F2, did a brilliant performance. We saw it with Tamas Gal as well. Started in F2, had a brilliant season, moved up into F1, grabbed the win. But we do have 5 red lights here, Alex.
And 5 lights are on. And they're off, and we're underway for the Canadian Grand Prix here at F3 as Riccardo Benzoni gets a great launch off the line. Tony Richet has to defend his position off the line as we all race into turn 1. We've got a few different tyre sets going on through the grid as we see Daniel Parodi making up moves on those soft tyres. He's gotten very aggressive at the start of this race, and that's what we want to see from a lot of these drivers. Some of them on the hard, some of them on the softs, a couple on the mediums, I would imagine, as well. As Daniel Parodi and Tony Richet round the outside. And Daniel Parodi now into second. What a start he's had, Josh.
Absolutely. It's what he needs to do on that soft compound tyre, is maximise the amount of grip he possibly could have. And he's certainly doing that, and he's putting on a great display, showing how moves can be made in this opening lap in a nice, safe and controlled manner, as we see Riccardo Benzoni there having a massive slide coming through turn 9 there. That's going to open the door for Daniel Parodi to find himself working his way up into the lead. He tries to put it around the outside here at the hairpin. Riccardo Benzoni will surely not like that one, but it looks like he's been able to get the traction on that outside line. Brilliant stuff there from Parodi. He's got a little bit of clean air now. It's hammer time.
And now he's into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. But Riccardo Benzoni says he's not going to give up that easily. But he can't make a move into the final chicane for the Wall of Champions. Look at the grip those soft tyres have, Josh. He's pulled out 3/10 in one chicane. Yes, they will drop off. Of course they will. But we want to see someone go for these aggressive starts. And that is exactly what Pro did. From what? From 4th on the grid to 1st at the end of at the start of lap 2.
Absolutely brilliant, and you've got to think Daniele Parodi is going to slowly start pulling away during this middle sector, and it might not even be that slowly, to be quite honest with you, because Riccardo Benzoni is going to struggle to keep those hard tyres into that perfect optimal window so we can get the most amount of grip. Another driver we're going to have to keep an eye on as well is, of course, one of our championship contenders, Nando Barreira, as we see Matthew Adler make a slight mistake, and Nando Barreira, Tope both dance it around the outside of him. These guys are going to be looking to try and catch up to the front three, surely.
And Adler under pressure here from Simone as well as he tries to go around the outside and he can't make it stick. But now Tom Roberts is under pressure from JST, who has started on the soft tyre as well as he looks to make up a couple positions. He's going to make 2 in 1. Is he down the inside? Oh, he locked his brakes up and I think it may have been a bit too ambitious. Oh, and it's all gone wrong and he's hit the wall.
That's a front wing off as well.
That's... And a virtual safety car.
Wow. If anyone fancies a cheap pit stop now,
yeah, soft tyres, I'm thinking.
But
oh no,
they would still lose out a whole bunch of positions on track, given how close this field is. It would be overall a net cheaper one, but being caught in the traffic probably wouldn't help that equation.
Oh, a few in. We have a few in. Obviously, JST, the obvious one, because he's missing a front wing. But Dimas and race into the pit lane as well as Six and then Hearts decide to retire from the session here on lap 2.
Very interesting as well. Dimash there, not putting on any front wing. No damage from himself or Reyes.
No, they just want they want just a medium set of tyres.
I feel like we're going to have to keep an eye on that one.
Do they know something we don't, Josh?
I don't know. Is there a chance of rain towards the end?
Well, there was people celebrating in chat about something. So maybe we have a chance here.
Potential, but again, it's not 100% guaranteed.
Back on the way.
But DRS is also now enabled as well. And I do believe they might have just missed that DRS detection point in these front three. But that is a huge moment there for those drivers heading down into turn 1. I believe that was Benzoni who ended up locking the brakes. Tony O'Shea ran it very deep as well. But we're going to have to keep an eye out. No, they have picked up the DRS. Brilliant stuff from those guys as well. Nando Moreira just falling short of sticking in that DRS window. But you can see, just from the slipstream, he's not falling back too much. He's lost about 2 temps down that straight. And then, of course, he'll lose a little bit more coming down the start-finish straight. But you can see Nando Moreira on that soft compound tyre has so much more traction coming out of the Wall of Champions. He's able to close up by 2 temps, which he lost out of DRS before.
Yeah, he's going to gain that time back on those soft tyres. He's already back in DRS, and I reckon he'll close even further in to this middle sector. Interesting to our viewers, if you want to keep an eye on a battle, obviously we won't be able to keep an eye on it all the time because we're going to be watching these front cars. But Dimas and Race here, surely you've got to be thinking they got to work together here to try and catch the pack. And I imagine they will be. You need to do a bit of DRS swapping every lap, pushing as hard as they possibly can to catch the pack back up, Josh, because that could be a really interesting strategy choice come the end of this race.
Yeah, surely they're just going to have to kind of balance it out between each other. One of them deploys a little bit of the DRS, another one saves a bit, and then just swap it over with the DRS as well. Just work themselves together to try and pull back up to the rear of this field. You know, they're thinking, yeah, they could go a little bit longer, maybe wait on another safety car. Or, if the rain does come towards the end of this race, they could find themselves in a brilliant position where they're going to be gaining naturally on the hard compounded tyre here. They could very well find themselves in maybe one of the best positions on the grid, being down in P16 and P17. And it's not very often we get to say that, do we?
No, not at all. And I'm really curious to see what our soft tyre runners are going to be doing. Do you reckon they're going to go another set of softs after they pit, or are they going to go a set of mediums, or maybe go a set of hards, try and go as long as they can? I am very curious to see what our soft runners will be doing, especially running up as high as 1st and 4th right now. And to be honest with you, Daniel Parodi might not have expected to get as far up as he did on that opening segment. Yeah, he may have expected to gain a few places, but leading the Grand Prix may have not been on his cards.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one, and the way he's going to be able to sort of dictate the tempo of this race, because he's got himself a brilliant position now where he does have that soft compounded tyre, but it will wear away over time. And of course, that'll naturally give the overtaking opportunity to the likes of Riccardo Benzoni, Tony O'Shea on the harder compound, looking to try and, you know, make a couple moves here and there, maybe in the second sector, if they want to try something really brave, or if they want to keep it nice and simple, going for a move at the hairpin. But it's certainly going to be something which is just going to build throughout the race, and Parodi's going to be well aware of that, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see Parodi sort of take maybe a little bit more of a backseat for maybe 1 or 2 of these laps here.
Yeah, we're already on lap 6. Of course, this is a bit of a short circuit, Josh. Not as short as Austria, but not as long lap times as you may expect from the likes of stuff like Silverstone and places like that, which we of course are coming to in the next few weeks. But Josh, the interesting thing is these guys have got to manage not only their tyres, not only obviously the weather, obviously they have engineers and stuff, but managing track limits around this circuit. Where can you, obviously, we call it maybe a bit of the dark arts, where can you gain a bit of time by taking a track limits penalty? But then if you do that, you know, you're 1 track limit down.
Yeah, you know, if you want to master the dark arts, I think turn 3, maybe turn 8 are going to be your best opportunities where you can maybe sneak a couple temps out of, you know, carrying a little bit more speed through. But certainly one place you don't want to be trying to do any of your dark arts, fancy magician stuff will be at turn 14.
Oh no!
As we see Jay Estover retiring from a section, and that's a full safety car. Well.
Well, now this race has turned on its head. Surely we're going to have people dive into the pits now.
Now, I'll tell you what's going to be very interesting to see here with a lot of these drivers. Oh, Daniel Peroni, you sneaky dog. You saw him there back up the field slightly. Try and cause a couple of these cars to double stack, gain himself that little bit more of an operating window because his teammates already pit. He's able to do that. He's got the luxury. He wants to take it at a nice, cautious pace to make sure he doesn't end up bugging the game out, as we saw before, with the different delta times when drivers dive into the pit lane, causing them to receive a penalty. We saw it over in F1. You know, it's a huge controversy about the game and its beautiful mechanics, but doesn't look like we've got any drivers falling victim to it here today.
No, and interestingly enough, Josh, Dimas and Reyes pitted again.
Why
They
not?
went for a new set of tyres. I suppose, yeah, you're not going to lose any time. So, let's keep an eye on everyone that pitted in that race. So, from third down, everyone has gone on a new set of tyres. All of them on mediums, except for Rosenberg in 11th on a brand new set of softs, and Javier, who just pit on a brand new set of soft tyres as well. Now, Matthew Bassett and Tom Roberts, the Shizou driver, in the Mercedes, leading the pack now on a 6-lap-old set of hard tyres. He is going to go a bit longer in this race. Expecting another safety car maybe here, Josh, or just doesn't want a safety car to dictate his strategy?
I just don't... I'm not too sure, because at the minute, you know, you would look at the likes of Tom Roberts, Matthew Bassett, and, you know, think that it'd very much be a situation between yourself and your partner, Alex, where they would just chew you up and spit you out. Of course, that's a joke before anyone gets carried away. Alex is in a very lovely partnership at the minute with his lovely girlfriend.
She's not feeling very well today. She's in bed.
Oh, it's a good job we've got PSGL and a lovely chat there as well to keep her entertained, because I'll see a couple of you goofballs in there. Carlson, Harry, looking at you. But no, again, it's going to be interesting because I do expect these drivers to get absolutely swamped on the restart. Swamped from that middle sector. To be quite honest with you, I can't give you too much insight on why they've stayed out, other than trying to avoid a double stack.
Dimas and Reyes are back in the pits.
Is that soft tyres?
That is soft tyres. Now, Josh,
Wow.
don't want to call for conspiracy theories here, but you might see a little tag by both of their names. They both happen to be a part of the same organisation, and every lap we've seen them both pit at the same time.
Yeah, they can share engineers.
We got a sharing,
That's
got a share
fine.
going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, that team wants what's best for the drivers, regardless of what team they get placed in at PSGL. Overall, they're going to be learning from this, taking it forward to the likes of other competitions such as E-Series, EOR, looking to try and build on that. If they're able to get a little bit of work, a little bit of practice in, why wouldn't they? Of course, it shows that they've just done their research around this track. They know the ideal strategy to go on during a moment like this, when rain might be coming over. For me, I believe it's perfectly fine, because they've also done something very different with another one of their drivers, F7R. It'll be Nando Moreira, sticking out on a set of medium tyres. It's a little bit of research. It's never hurt nobody. It's not exactly a crash gate. It's not a huge conspiracy. They're just looking to try different things.
It's not Crashgate.
It's not Crashgate.
It's not Crashgate, all right. Understand. If you shout it hard enough, then Fernando Alonso might hear you.
I don't want that. He scares me.
He didn't have anything to do with Crashgate, though. He said it
No.
publicly.
Absolutely. But he scares
And
me.
I have no reason not to believe him.
Just look at him, Alex. He's terrifying.
Well, Fernando Alonso.
Yes.
I think he's like a cuddly bear,
He's like a genetic freak.
and he's not normal.
No, his reaction times, you know, a split second. Anyway, enough about Fernando Alonso.
I thought you were doing a Scott Steiner promo. I thought you were doing the.
No. We're not bringing the numbers game into this. But no, look in here. We've got so many different drivers and so many different strategies. You know, it looks very simple at this moment in time as well. But if the rain is to come, we would potentially see a couple of these drivers end up having to go for a little bit longer. Maybe dive it into the pits a little bit earlier. Certainly going to be interesting, especially considering we do have a beautiful mix of drivers in this grid. Looking at the likes of Matthew Adler and Tom Roberts, you can expect Adler to move himself forward a bit and Tom Roberts to move himself down. But how much is that going to impact in case the wet weather comes? And with a safety car, surely you would have thought if it was going to come 4 laps from the end now, we're looking at 7 laps from the end.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting what we're doing. Now, Josh, the old the old saying, safety cars breed safety cars. We've got 2 cars, first and second, on hard tyres that are 8 laps old. And everyone else is on mediums behind.
Well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to have an IndyCar restart as well?
An IndyCar restart?
Yeah.
What does that involve?
Well, it involves shouting at the top of your lungs, saying "boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys." I'll tell you what. We can have a little look, because at the minute it does very much look like a caution flag would read a caution flag. If Tom Roberts is going to keep getting those marbles on his tyres, I've had a word with him about this. Apparently, he just really likes to play with marbles.
He just likes his marbles, but now he likes getting the race back underway as we restart the Canadian Grand Prix. And Tom Roberts and Matthew Bassett lead the way. Daniel Brody on the medium tyres, following just in behind. We've got a few moves going on down the pack as we see Bogdan moving places. We've got someone running off the road, 2 cars off the road there. But we'll keep an eye on this front battle. There's a lot of places changing. These yellow flags. Oh no, we've got a car around in the background, Josh. I think it was one of the Ferraris, Thomas Laminen, around in the background. Oh, we've got a real defence from Matthew Bassett there. But Daniel Parodi is saying, I am going through it. There's nothing you could do about it. Around the outside goes Riccardo Benzoni, and up the inside goes Tony Roche. Bassett has lost a few places. Oh, Tony Roche, a little bit of rub in his racing, but that was mostly because of Matthew Bassett's a very strong defence. Daniel Parodi now looking to do what he did on lap 1. Can he take the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix in the same way he took the lead on lap 1? And he down the inside, he's already up into the lead already, Josh, and so is Riccardo Benzoni back into the front row. No, he defends it, Tom Roberts. Very good start, though, from Daniel Parodi.
What an absolute move from these medium tyre compound users, looking to try and gain that advantage on the hard compound tyre. Riccardo Benzoni's got to be looking to try and put it around the outside. Heading into the wall of champions, gets the move done before the braking zone. And boy, have we got some motor car racing here. This is PSGL, and this is sim racing, but you wouldn't believe it because of how stunning this game looks. We see here Tom Roberts falling slowly down the order. Matthew Bassett isn't in the best position either. You've got to consider those hard tires aren't going to last until that perfect opportunity for them to dive it over into the pits. I'm not sure where my accent's going. I'm jumping all across the states at the moment. But here we go.
I'm from everywhere.
A brilliant move here from Nando Moreira, looking for the outside. Switches it back to the inside. And he's been able to make that move here. Diddly donkey do. What a great job from Nando Moreira.
That was very impressive. That was very, very impressive. The accent kind of went all over the place, but hey, there's enough states in America for you to get an accent from at least one of them. We're going to see a move now from Tony Roche. He's going to go up the inside of Tom Roberts, and he's into P3. Josh, don't want to point something out here, but the sky's got a bit darker around the streets of Canada here. Have we got a little rain on the horizon?
Yeah, Matthew Bassett there seems to have a problem. He backed up a lot, whether he's just trying to move out of the way for these drivers, knowing he's not the correct strategy or whatever. For some reason, I want to go back to an American accent. It was a lot more fun. But again, Matthew Bassett here just finds himself currently in P13. A little bit of no man's land, but we are going to start seeing these lap times creep in. Furthermore, the track's got darker, it's got colder. These tyres are going to be able to use a little bit more of their heat, get a little bit more grip. It seems to be the perfect optimal temperature. A lot of these drivers enjoy it when it goes to these more overcast conditions. The track temp falls down just a couple Celsius. And we can quite often see the drivers perform best when it gets to this part.
It's raining.
Knowing that they can push, as we see Nando Moreira in the background, they're making a very late move to the inside of Tom Roberts. Brilliant stuff. But as you mentioned, the rain is already coming down, and it's only on lap 12.
Oh my god. The weather gods may have smiled upon us here, Josh. And it's going to be very interesting now. But what kind of rain are we expecting? Is it going to be the rain that, you know, comes down super heavy? These guys need to put on intermediate tyres, or is it just one of those bit of light rain that's going to cost the drivers a bit of time? You know, we have obviously saw DRS just got enabled. How heavy is this rain going to get? We know this circuit can get wet very quickly because the rain tends to come down very hard. And of course, this is a middle of an island. This is where this track is, and it tends to really. Yeah, it's a man-made island, so technically we're going to see a lot of rain come down here, and it already looks like it's falling quite heavily, Josh.
I'm waiting.
Roberts is in.
Oh.
Inters. Surely got to go Inters now.
Yeah, Bogdan had a big slap on the wall of champions there. Lost him a little bit of time in the battle with Tope.
It's Inters.
Yes, Tom's on Inters. Matthew Bassett surely going on Inters as well. Have they
oh my god.
Or have they called it just that little bit earlier? Someone else I do want to mention who's kind of gone under our gaze at the minute is, of course, Tima Zelekovic. Came in last. Was it Tima? Was it Tima? Yeah,
I can't remember.
It was
yeah,
Tima.
yeah.
Came in last minute, no setup, no practice. Currently finds himself in P9. watching the battle in his rearview mirror between Leisure Rosenberg, Javier Domine. He's in a fantastic position to try and, you know, just build off of this. We're going to see a couple more of these cars, maybe dive it over into the pits. But is anyone going to try and brave it for that maybe 1 or 2 lap extra? Because we know that can be when a lot of time is lost for these slick compound runners. When the oil comes out of the circuit, that's when this is going to turn into an absolute world of carnage.
Yeah, we do have a bit of an ice rink. I can see the rain. It's already forming on... Josh, I think it's time for Inters already. I know the DRS has not been disabled yet, but you can see the effects of the rain here. Everyone's in this lap. Intermediates are the time to be on, Josh. Has Shizou and Tom Roberts pulled off an absolute worldie of a strategy? Nando Moreno stays out. He's mad.
Oh, the spray's coming up as well. Nando Moreno and Tope are certainly braving this one out. I'm not
Where's
sure
this
if
rain
it's
come
really
from?
cool, but... Guys, I told you to get a couple buckets of water and put it on track. I didn't need it like this, guys. Come on. This is way too wet. But of course, it'll create some brilliant races. We see Daniel Parodi here looking to try and regain the lead. It was a little bit too early for those drivers. Tom Roberts, surely he's going to get those intermediates warmed up.
He gained times, though.
He will have gained time, and he will have that little bit more grip in the tyres as we see these drivers roll out the pit lane with a little bit colder tyres, not necessarily finding it, you know, comfortable getting out. Tom jumps himself up into P9 behind his teammate Matthew Adler, P8. Would be a good result for Mercedes if they're able to hunker down on this, or maybe even work together and try and find themselves battling the likes of Tony Rashai, Riccardo Benzoni, and of course Daniel Parodi. But Daniel seems to have just pulled away just a little bit as we see Tony Rashai having a little luck. He's not eager to make this move because he knows that opportunity down that back straight is going to be so immense, especially with the braking zones into the hairpin, into the wall of champions. Tony Rashai having a little peek to the inside, decides to back off there, but Daniel Parodi, you can just see he's just pulling out, isn't he? It's fantastic.
He is, and we actually had a change for the lead while we were watching that battle going on. Toppy actually got in front of Nando Moreno, but they're both now in for intermediate tyres. They're going to lose a lot of time now as the crossover period has come and gone. Javier stayed out here, Josh. He's not pitted.
Now that is either brave or stupid.
And I think I've answered your question.
Well, I certainly have, but we do have Riccardo Benzoni and Tony Rashai still battling with that P3 all over the place.
Oh, he got disqualified.
Disqualified for blocking the pit lane exit. That's a bit harsh.
Oh, oh my God, he's all over the place. He's ghosted. Oh my God, I thought he was going to go straight in the thing. But yeah, he was not really blocking there. That could cause a safety car because it's going to be a car stopped on circuit.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that would throw a whole different ball game of drivers who really want that fresh intermediate tyre. We see Tom Roberts went to the outside line on the horrible greasy part of a circuit. Almost impossible to get traction in the dry in the wet conditions. My word, Tom Roberts really showing he's got that mental attitude to work himself further up this grid. We see just in front of him, Matthew Adler's been able to make this move on Tope. Is it going to be a matter of time before Tom Roberts is able to make this jumper as well? Of course, Tope, fresh out of the pit lane, will have slightly colder tyres, but you're going to have to consider if Tom Roberts makes a move now, he will be defending towards the end of this race. It's looking
Tony Rashai takes second.
Yeah, I mean, it's all happening, isn't it, across the field. We've got Timas Lekovic and Santa Maria there having a little bit of a battle coming out of the hairpin. You can see these drivers still wanting to fight one another, but it's just going to be whether they're able to get comfortable enough to try and make a couple of these moves. Matthew Adler, though, he looks like a fish in water. Absolutely beautiful work going down the inside of the Wall of Champions. Just fantastic.
Yeah, and he's actually making up a lot of moves here. We got another move, though, in the background. I think Tom Roberts just defending from Nando Moreno there. And, of course, as you mentioned, Josh, he's on those slightly older intermediate tyres, and that could really cost him a bit later in this Grand Prix. But it could dry up again, Josh. It might still dry up in this race. You know, we're only on lap 16. We were expecting rain a lot later in this Grand Prix, and we now have it a bit earlier, lap 16 out of 35. Lovely move there.
That was sweet.
So it wasn't salty. Lovely, sweet.
No, it was sweet. It was tasteful. It was fruity. It was tangy. It was different. It was inventive. Tom Roberts showing why he deserves a place on this F3 grid. Fantastic driver. You see it here. He's almost taking those Max Verstappen lines we've seen all those years ago, battling with Nico Rosberg.
And I went a bit deep there. Into the fight, into that hairpin. Very tricky corner to slow down in the dry, even harder in the wet. I'm really interested to see how long we're going to have rain here for. But right now, Daniel Parodi not under a lot of pressure leading this Grand Prix.
No, he's created that buffer by himself. you've just got to give him credit. He's been able to execute this strategy onto the intermediate tyres, get him warmed up quick enough so he's able to build that little bit of a gap while Tony Roche and Ricardo Bentonio are battling. And he's reaping the rewards of it, isn't he? He's set himself out, he's paced himself, he's doing a fantastic job. Currently leading the field by 1.7 seconds. We can expect that to dip just a little bit because I would expect his tyres to wear off first. But at the same time, 2 seconds gap is still a 2-second gap, and especially about DRS, it's going to be very difficult to not only find an overtaking opportunity, but also try and force the move as well. So, well done for Daniel, being able to pull himself over there. But it's not the end of the race. We've got to keep that in mind. We're only just about halfway, and we've already seen the weather conditions change once. They could change again.
Yep, they could change again. It could be very interesting how they change. But also, just want to point out here, Tony Roche's gained about half a second, Josh. In that sector. I don't know if it was a little mistake from Daniel Brody, or maybe Roche's getting a bit more into these conditions. You know, wet conditions aren't for everyone. Of course, they do tend to favour the, as Martin Brundle always says, tend to favour the English or Japanese drivers. We see a lot because they get a lot of rain in their countries, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get into the conditions. As Bogdan picks up a 3-second time, but he was doing so well. That's a shame.
Yeah, was just riding on board with Tope. We saw Tope try and lean towards that outside, forcing the error from Bogdan. I mean, it's just tactical, technical driving. It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it's great, and that's what we want to do. Maybe, some people might call it the dark arts, Josh. I personally like a bit of the dark arts.
Yeah, I know you do. You put me in a wall 4 times in 1 lap. But
it's not the dark art. That's just me crashing into you.
Oh, okay. You didn't mean to do it. Okay, I'll forgive you then. But
oh, what's happened to Bassett?
He's in the wall. That looks like a technical failure with his wheel.
Oh, I think it is.
It's not great. It's not great. I think I saw something on Twitter earlier about him saying his wheel doesn't feel 100% correct. He's been having issues over the last couple of weeks. I do believe that was Matthew Bassett I saw having those problems. So they're starting to creep back in. And, I mean, what a time for him to creep in these intermediate conditions. It's going to be so much more tricky for him just to be able to keep car in a straight line if his wheel doesn't really want to work with him.
Yeah, they always say, a good workman never blames his tools, but
it's kind of hard when your job
when
is
the tools, yeah, when the tool is meant to work, it's quite difficult not to blame it. As we see Timas Legovic, they're getting in front of Tom Roberts, as we expected, Josh. Those intermediate tyres already struggling because they're a bit older than the rest of the fields. Not that much older. Oh my goodness me! Bogdan was so defensive there down the main straight. But what an overtake as we see Toffee and Bogdan go wheel to wheel in turn 1. Bogdan, you got to say, that's right on the limit of defensive driving right there.
That was Barrichello Schumacher-esque. If it was a court of law, attempted murder might be one of them there. But so far, brilliant stuff from both these drivers to keep us racing. Absolutely brilliant. We see Tope here leaning towards the inside, later on the brakes, slides the car in, a little wheel tap, doesn't hurt anyone. There's going to be no damage picked up from there. But I'll tell you someone it does hurt. In the long run, it'll be Tope. He's already forced Bogdan into picking up a time penalty. And Bogdan's defense has been absolutely stirred, par none. Fantastic stuff from the driver to keep P5, hold Tope back, and create a little bit of a gap to the front runners. He's currently leading this pack, and he's created that beautiful little bit of a buffer he might need in case, the weather conditions change. You see Tope drifting the car in at the hairpin. It's just
can't make it.
Fantastic car control, but again, he's just not quite there, is he? He's just having to wait that little bit longer.
And he might go for it round the outside here, down the main straight. I think finally he's got that move stuck. If he can get a good exit out of the chicane, avoiding the wall of champions, of course, and this time he's not going to be on the other side of that wall. And this time Tope into 5th place, but great defensive and great battling between Bogdan and Tope there. That's what respectful driving is right there. That's why that's why Michael always said he pushed Barrichello into the wall, because he knew he could have a good race with him.
Absolutely, in my eyes, fair, hard, well-earned race in between the two of them. It's fantastic. It's part of the reasons why we love PSGL and part of the reasons why we have so many of you lovely people at home watching these great battles break out all across the field. As we see Bogdan falling down the order even more. I believe there might have been a bit of contact there with Nando Pereira. Alex, could you fill us in on that?
Yeah, Nando, I think, did the similar move with Tope did, but unfortunately it was a bit deeper, and I think literally just a bit of a tap there might go to the steward's investigation, but obviously that is up to the stewards, not up to us. So we'll see what happens there. So right now for Nando, all he's doing is going to get back on his, get back into his head and keep driving on.
Absolutely. We see here the drivers willing to try and risk it. They're gaining confidence in this wet weather, and one of those drivers is going to be Tom Roberts, sending one to the inside of Bogdan. Gets that move sorted. He's even going to get better traction despite braking later, having a tighter apex. He's going to get the traction. He's burning a little bit of battery to keep ahead. So he's been able to follow Leslie Rosenberg through. He's currently P8. You would expect a driver with the experience of Leslie Rosenberg to understand exactly what's going on and pace himself. And I do believe he is doing that at this moment in time. He knows Timas Lankovic and Nando Moreira, they're going to be following each other very, very closely. All he's got to do is keep on the back of it and wait for an opportunity to happen. And then he's going to strike for it. But while we've been seeing all these fantastic battles go on in the mid-pack, someone's caught up. It's Tony Rocher, the Frenchman. Of course, France, not exactly known for always having the best weather as well. It's just over the channel. They've got the North Sea, they've got the Atlantic Ocean. Surely he would have had a little bit of experience driving in the wet here as well.
I'm sure he would have done. Yes, of course he would have done. As we also got to keep an eye on Matthew Adler as catching up to Riccardo Benzoni. Just went a bit deep actually there, so maybe the commentator curse caught up to him, even though I didn't mention his name. I just thought about saying it. But yeah, we see this has been closing up for a few laps. Tony Rocher is closing in slowly on Daniel Parodi. We are on lap 21 of 35 here, Josh. We are, almost throughout this Grand Prix, almost through it. The rain has slowed down a little bit, but it's still coming down here at Canada, so no thoughts of dry tyres just yet. Can these Inters get to the end of the race here, Josh? I feel like they can.
They can, but at the same time, it'll very much be like taking intermediates a long distance around the circuit of Monaco, right? Now, hear me out. The walls are so close, the grip won't be there. You'll be balancing the car on a knife's edge for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 laps. Is it worth a risk? Surely you would
I don't
think
know.
if one of these drivers up towards the front, whether it's DP, Tony Rocher, Benzoni, dives it in the pits, that might cause a concertina effect. The rest of the drivers might think, oh yeah, hold on a minute, it might not be worth a risk. I'll dive in the pits as well. I mean, at the end of the day, if this person's doing it, surely it's a good decision. But at the same time, these drivers, they're in F3 for a reason. They're incredibly talented. They will have confidence in the car. They will have experience trying to balance it on a knife's edge in these wet conditions. It'll just be whether it's able to be translated easily enough over to the circuit of Gilles Villeneuve, which can be a little bit of a pain in the bosom.
Yeah, it certainly can. And also, Josh, it's going to sound crazy from me saying this, because I know how I always say the opposite. But there's no guarantee the new tyres are going to be quick. Now, bear with me here on this situation. If the rain does slow down here, and we get to a more dry track, there's no point putting a new set of tyres on, because you're just going to burn them out. And the tyres you have on are going to be burning those grooves anyway right now. So they're going to get more slick tyre based anyway towards the end of the session. So it could be either risk putting on new tyres.
Potentially, it's a very much a double-edged sword, isn't it? You can keep on these intermediates, which would have been worn away. They'll have that little bit of a softer rubber underneath, but at the same time, they will be burning up. They're not made for dry running. The tyres will overheat naturally, especially coming through the likes of Turn 2. Especially, the fast-flowing sort of chicanes we've got here. Think about 8, 9. And then, of course, Wall of Champions as well. Those tyres are not going to be happy in the slightest. That is where the drivers who decide to pit for a set of slick tyres will be able to gain the time on the overheating intermediates. You already see it there as we ride with Tony Rocher. Daniel Parodi having a slight slide coming out of turn 4 there, just on the rear end, showing he's really trying to put a lot for those rear tyres, and they're not exactly happy receiving it. Is that
Oh!
Oh dear.
Big crash in the wall! And a safety car!
Wow. That opens
Well.
it up a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, he's just overtaken 2 people under the safety car there.
Oh, fair play. Features.
I wonder if that's... I imagine the game's told him that he can go back past them because he was spun round in time. What I'm going to suggest here, Josh, how long is this safety car going to be out for? Is there any chance that these guys consider going on dry tyre?
Well, Daniel Parodi's certainly doing his absolute utmost to make sure no drivers can get that little pit stop window. He's backing up the field, and I don't blame him. I would want to do the exact same thing. You don't want to give any of the drivers behind you a great opportunity to, get that pit window, get that opportunity to either set, new intermediate tyres, new slick tyres, whatever there would be. You want to control the pace of this race, and he's certainly trying to do that, but Riccardo Benzoni is well aware of these mind games, as we're going to see the front 2 roll into the pits. Are any drivers going to decide to stick it out? Because that pace would be hugely different in comparison.
Dries! They are going dries! Oh my goodness me.
Right.
I knew it.
Let's focus on the pit exit here for these slick tyre runners then, yeah?
I knew it.
okay. Everyone seems to be able to make it okay. They've got the car under control.
The rain's slowing down, Josh.
It is slowing down. I am just a little bit cautious about a couple of these drivers coming out of the pit lane, because we know the pit lane doesn't get as much running as the circuit would, for, you know, apparent reasons. If all of them are able to make it out of this pit lane, you know, in a relatively safe manner, which it does look like a lot of them have done.
Rain stopped.
There we go. So we will be dry running by the time the safety car comes back in.
For sure.
Got hair dryers out.
They're drying the circuit down.
Yep, you can't see it, but wherever the camera is facing, we've got a load of marshals on circuit with lovely little hair dryers plugged in. Just trying to make sure we get all that water off. So in 1 or 2 laps, if the track's completely bone dry, you know who to thank.
Josh.
No. Frederick, the marshal.
Frederick, thank you, Frederick.
Thank you, Frederick. Brilliant stuff.
He does a good job for us.
He does. He does. I mean, look, you can already see the work he's done on the line straight. There's already a dry line for him.
Might as well might as well get started now. Turn DRS on, it's safe.
Not sure about that.
Well, if it was current day Formula 1, it'd be turned on after a lap.
No, they wouldn't have turned it off, would they? But anyway, enough about the FIA. We don't have to worry about them because we've got our brilliant stewarding team over at PSGL, which sort everything out for us in a nice, fair manner. Have great discussions with the team, understand exactly what goes on, and then they make a result instead of making a result, regretting it 5 minutes later, and then giving someone else a different result from what they originally said.
Yes. I didn't really understand what you said, but yes.
Yes. So it's
The
nice,
answer-
nice to know where you stand on the 21 result at Abu Dhabi. Thank you, Alex. You're
Yep.
a fake red.
You're very welcome. I'm a fence sitter.
That's my job.
What, the fence sitter?
Yeah.
It's actually F1 Scott's job, because I asked him that question on another broadcast and he refused to answer it.
What?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi 21.
Oh, I thought
Question.
you asked him to sit on a fence for you and he refused it.
No!
I was about to say that would be an extra level. Right. Alex, 10 laps remaining. Everyone's
Yep.
on dry tyres. Who's
Yep.
winning?
Parodi.
Interesting.
He's looked untouchable really from lap 1.
Wow. I'm going to shock you.
You've gone with Reyes, haven't you? Down in P11.
No. Matthew Adlon. Set of soft tyres. He's going to absolutely gun it. He's going to get the position, and then it'll be a masterclass of defence for the last couple laps.
Well, yeah, we haven't got a restart yet because we're still waiting for Elliott to catch the pack. So we're going to have our full 3 laps under the safety car. Something I will mention, Josh, because it's not very sunny anymore at Canada.
Right.
This track isn't, like, some bits are still quite wet. It is obviously now dry down the main straight. But I reckon we're going to be fine on the restart. I was just a bit worried that we might have a bit of wet weather still going on. But I think it looks pretty dry out there now.
I'll tell you what. While we get the track drying, take a screenshot at home, have a look, make sure you can see how dry it is. We're going to play a quick little ad before we get back underway with this racing. And we can have a lovely little gander to see what's really popping and how quickly this track is drying. Well, we're back. And,
Back.
yep, it's perfectly dry.
It is. It's completely dry now.
The
Looks like
SRC hairdryers really do a number, don't they, Alex? They're fantastic
certainly
pieces
do.
of kit. And it's well enough to get the safety car back in on this lap.
Well, it's lap 26, Josh. We are going to be restarting on lap 27. We have 2 TF10 drivers, first and second, both driving for different teams. Tony Richet in second, Daniel Prodi in first, and of course Riccardo Benzoni in behind in third. 3 different constructors all battling for position. Then Matthew Adler, the outlier on the soft tyres in fourth, and then we've got Toppy.
You
in
could even
fifth.
argue the 5 biggest constructors in Formula 1 history. Williams, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, and Haas F1 team.
And Haas F1 team. Exactly.
My goats. Well,
they've spent the most money in crashes, that's for sure. So here we go. We're going to get back underway for the restart of the Canadian Grand Prix. When is Daniel Peroni going to go? Where will he choose to put his foot flat to the floor?
Go on, Alex.
As
go American. Go American. Go American.
No, can't go American. As we underway here for the Canadian Grand Prix. As Tony Richet almost gets caught out. There's a few drivers do get caught out. As we got a 3-wide moment in the midfield there. As we restart on lap 27. We are underway. As Daniel Peroni leads the way. Tony Richet in second. Riccardo Benzoni in third. And then Matthew Adler. As Zelenkovic picks up a 3-second. Tom Roberts picks up a 3-second time. But they're all going crazy on this opening lap, Josh, as they're trying to find a little grip on these new tyres.
Absolutely, and you would consider it from being wet to going back to dry. You know, the track limits somewhat alter. They're a lot more lenient with the wet weather running. So that could be the reason why we've seen so many drivers pick up the penalties. But I do want to make a special mention of Nando Moreira being able to use those soft tyres to get those overtakes sorted. And at the moment, you're looking at 3 cars directly in front of him. Timo Zelenkovic, Tope and Bogdan Moldovan. Where's he going to be able to place this Aston Martin car to try and get a move sorted as we see both of them run it a little deep? Is this a little bit of Aston Martin teamwork from Timo Zelenkovic? Of course it is. Brilliant stuff. Zelenkovic moves over to the left-hand side to make sure he doesn't block his teammate. Fantastic stuff from Zelenkovic to help Moreira out in every single way possible. Maybe a little rub in his race as well between the two of them, but Nando Moreira, biggest gainer out of that 3-wide moment, but it might not be for too long because Zelenkovic is looking to try and get a little nibble back at the minute, isn't he?
Yep, and we've got a almost 4-wide moment in the back of the grid, all battling for P10 there, as they all go wheel to wheel into turn 1. That was very, very close between 4 cars there. It's absolute chaos on a safety car restart, especially when the track's just gone back to dry, because everyone was topping gets a fine penalty. We've got literally moves going across as we see Dimas, who's that Santa Maria's round. What happened, Josh?
He ended up just putting the car down the inside, and I do believe it was Tom Roberts turned across him, and then of course it was front tyre to rear tyre contact. Car
Never going to end well.
Did spinala, for a lack of a better term. Unfortunate for Ivan, but something he's going to look at in the reviews. Something stewards are going to have to look at as well. Give that a little bit of food for thought, but until then, we've still got 7 laps of fantastic racing to go. Riccardo Benzoni losing the position to Matthew Adler. Adler on that soft compound tyre. How long is it going to last here? It's done 1 lap of racing, 3 laps under the safety car. Surely you would consider he's got the life to go on and maybe try and battle for the win here.
It might do. It can technically. I think I've taken it on a restart about 8 or 10 laps. But at that point, they are really struggling. So let's see what. Obviously, I'm not a professional, and these guys are. Let's see what the professionals can do with their soft tyres. But DRS is enabled here, Josh, and Parodi is going to be a bit of a sitting duck down that back straight. Richet just needs to bide his time here, but he can't spend forever biding it. He's got to get those moves sorted shortly, as we are on lap 29 of 35. When Parodi crosses the line, 5 laps to go, and everything is going to kick off.
Absolutely, you've got to think as well, all these drivers, not only is it a braking heavy circuit so they can recharge for ERS, but especially given the 2 safety cars, they'll all be full battery. They can deploy now if they want and still get enough by the end of lap 34, lap 33, where they can keep deploying the battery and keep trying to find more and more energy to deploy. It's certainly going to be interesting, and I for one cannot wait until we get to see those little intricacies really play out in the remainder of this race. But you've got to consider here, Daniel Parodi, currently in the driver's seat, but he's not in the powerhouse, is he? He's not forming the rest of the grid. He can't hold him behind for too much longer, given the fact of that DRS, and that ERS is going to be so prominent. I believe we might be seeing it here with Matthew Adler heading down into turn 1.
And Matthew Adler, 110.9 there. Fastest lap of the race so far. Really pushing those soft tyres to their limit early on. He doesn't want to burn them out too quickly. Of course, fuel is draining from that car every single lap. We're running it low on fuel now, I'm sure. These guys would have been burning under the safety car because they want to have as little fuel as possible when they cross the line. You know, a little bit of fuel can really cost you tenths towards the end of a Grand Prix. So down the next DRS straight. DRS is going to be enabled for Matthew Adler on Tony Richet. Is there a play here that Tony Richet lets Adler past and see if he can go challenge Daniel Parodi, or do you think Richet in his head thinks, I've just got to control second place now?
Richet control second place, wait for the opportunity, deploy a bit more battery to go on the offensive for Daniel Parodi as we see the car sliding through the hairpin. Fantastic car control from Parodi and Adler both as well. looking to try and rotate the car at the rear a little bit quicker to try and straight line that exit just slightly better than what the likes of Tony Roche are able to do when they don't slide the car and they don't get that opportunity to straighten up the car as soon as possible to get a better run. You can see it's worked out for Daniel Parodi here once again, but it's not necessarily worked out for Matthew Adler because Riccardo Benzoni is now looking to try and make a move for that third place.
Yeah, I'm just riding on board with Benzoni, and I can watch Adler in front. He's already struggling on his tyres here, Josh, on lap 31. Those tyres are already burning out, and he's running a little bit low on ERS too. Obviously, I won't reveal because I know there's engineers watching what ARS they are running on, but they are slowly running out, and some cars in front may have a bit more late on the brakes there from Benzoni. As the sun begins to come out here at Canada, Josh, that could really change up this race as well, because it's going to burn tyres more quickly. The surface temperature is going to rise, and we're going to have a lot more tyre degradation. We're only a few laps to go. You can see Adler struggling because he's just sliding it through the corners now.
Yeah, again, you're seeing this opportunity for these soft compound tyres rapidly falling away. We've got Bogdan Moldovan slightly further behind in P5, already showing his ERS light below 10%. It's not looking good so far for these soft compound runners, but they've just kind of got to band together and the standard role that they're all going to have to play in order to try and pull the maximum result out for going onto this slightly riskier strategy. Not having comfortable tyres to the end, like the medium tyres, as we see Tomasz Lamanen losing a position to Tope. Tope is looking to make himself back up the order, but he's got a lot of work to do to try and get himself back up into P5. End of the day, it's not impossible, but when you do have the two Aston Martin cars going side by side and swapping positions down into turn 1, using a little bit of that DRS train tactic, it's going to be a little tough.
And a time penalty in these top 4, Josh, could change this entire race perspective. Because if one of these guys in the top 4 pick up a track limits penalty, they're dropping out because of how close they all are together. And Tomasz Lamanen, if he can keep up his pace here, he could jump as high as P5 by the end of this Grand Prix if he can stay clear of time limit penalties.
Absolutely, it'd be a huge help for him as well. So let's have a little look. We've got 3 seconds for Bogdan, 3 seconds for Tima, 3 seconds for Nando, 3 seconds for Tope, 3 seconds for Tom, 3 seconds for Simeon, 3 seconds for Ivan, and 3 seconds for Alexander Dimash. On the whole, everyone's been really well behaved. I'm proud of them.
Very well. Very well behaved. And here we go. Good exit there from Riccardo Benzoni out of the hairpin. He's got a run on Matthew Adler, whose light is flashing on his car. You're not going to go around the outside before the Wall of Champions. There's no room there to try and fight it. Oh, he's considered it, but he's run over the sausage curbs. And I don't think, Josh, that move was ever on.
No, there was a moment where it looked like he had the overspeed, but as soon as he pulled out from that slipstream, you could just tell that slipstream carried Benzoni alongside him, but it just wasn't enough to try and get him the jump. He's going to have to either get a better run, deploy a bit of battery to try and get that overtake sorted, but he's really running out of time. Lap 33 out of 35. You know, this opportunity for Benzoni to be battling, you know, Tony Roche, Daniel Parodi, it's rapidly falling away, and it's all thanks to Matthew Adler's brilliant defending.
Yep, and Adler's doing a great job because he knows in the heart of his heart those soft tyre advantages he had has gone off now. He just needs to defend his position. And Riccardo Benzoni has got to get a good exit like he did on the last lap and make that move stick. For Tony Roche, he's going to have another lap to make this work. We're going on to the penultimate lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. Is Riccardo Benzoni going to down the inside? Oh, a little bit rubber is racing. Lock up from Adler. Has to push him a bit wide, but it's a brilliant overtake. But the exit goes to Adler, but the soft tyres do not have the grip anymore to fight back. And now he's going to go into the slipstream. Adler is going to try and make the move around the outside, but he's not going to have the overspeed. Good defensive there from Riccardo Benzoni. Doesn't move twice. He's done that very well. And now Adler might have to settle for P4 as Benzoni continues his charge through the grid, as Roche on the penultimate lap now is closing even closer as we see Tom Roberts make the move there on Nano Moreno. Or do we? As Nano Moreno fighting around the outside, and he gets still back in front of him. Nano's still in PA. Oh, as Tom Roberts almost loses the car there on the grass.
A little squeeze there. It's not ideal, is it? With its tight battling going on, with all these drivers having a 3-second penalty, it just gives Tomasz Lamanen that little bit of extra space to be able to guarantee himself jumping up a couple positions. But as it stands, it looks like Bogdan might be safe from that time penalty. But of course, we do have this little DRS straight here, which preps him beautifully heading into the chicane. Right, left. Long sweeping left-hander now before approaching into the hairpin. Where are we going to put the braking points? That's going to be the key feature now. Trying to make sure they get the best run possible. Heading up into Wall of Champions. Parodi once again locking up the tyres. Trying to get the car rotated a little bit better. And you can see it's worked again. Gaining 5 tenths out of traction alone. But Tony Roche is deploying that battery now. You can see how rapidly he's closing up in this Ferrari on the Williams. He pulls to the inside. And that is as nice as you would like. Daniele Parodi falls down into P2. Tony Roche takes the lead of this race with one lap remaining.
Could that have been a bit of an early mistake, though? Because surely, Josh, you want to do that on the final lap, not the penultimate lap.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? I can see Tony Roche trying to back up the field a little bit, coming out the hairpin now, to try and give Riccardo Benzoni an opportunity to try and battle Daniele Parodi. Because, you know, if you make it 3 wide at Wall of Champions, only 2 of you are going to be able to get out without a penalty, and only 1 of you is going to be able to get out without being in the ball.
Well, let's see what happens here. Riding on board now with Dan Brody. We're on lap 35 of 35. It's been a very thrilling Canadian Grand Prix. 2 safety cars, a virtual safety car, wet weather, dry racing. We've had it all here this afternoon. Great battles through the midfield. One of the best races of F3 this year as Daniel Brody looks to close in one more time on Tony Roche into the hairpin braking zone. He's going to have to get a decent exit out of this corner, and he's got to use everything he can now down the back straight to get Tony Roche. He's about 4/10 back. Tony Roche pulls to the left-hand side. DRS is going to be enabled. ERS is going to be dumped. Can he get the chance? He's closing. He's closing in. He's closing in. Will he go for it? Into the final chicane. He's going to look for it. Into the Wall of Champions. They go wheel to wheel. Tony Roche picks up 3 seconds, but so does Daniel Parodi. Riccardo Benzoni's in the wall, but it doesn't matter because he wins on time penalties.
Oh,
and he gets the line because they both got penalties on the line. And Adler finishes in second.
what a finish.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That's what happens when you go wheel to wheel into the final chicane. You called it, Josh. You called it exactly right.
I knew it was going to happen. I tried to warn them. They didn't want to listen. Tom Schlammer as well, finishing P5 with the drivers receiving penalties as well, jumping him up the places. But Riccardo Benzoni, sensible, saw that overtaking opportunity happen, decided just to hold back, understood exactly what was going to happen, waited for that opportunity. Overall, he's got to feel a little bit proud of himself about one.
Certainly. He knew he just had to wait. Something was going to happen, and it happened in the end. Thomas Lamlin jumped up to 5th place with all those time penalties in front of him. If he was in front of his few cars, Josh, he could have finished on the podium there. Yeah. That's how close it was.
Yeah.
But what a race! What a race we had there.
I'm lost for words, to be honest. That was just fantastic. We had the wet weather, the safety cars mixing up the strategy, the drivers excited, the drivers wanting to make overtakes as well. It wasn't like it was around Austria where they was all trying to defend their positions in a DRS train, being patient. They were going absolutely gun-code for it. It was absolutely fantastic to see. But we, of course, only have the one winner, and that will be the poleman. Riccardo Benzoni picks up a race win. Brilliant stuff for him. With Matthew Adler jumping up into P2 after those penalties, and Daniel Parodi and Tony Roche. I'm sure there's going to be a long team talk at TF10 about what happened in that final sector of the Wall of Champions. But then, of course, we got Tomasz Lamann P5, Bogdan Moldovan P6, Timas Lenkovic P7, Tope P8, Tom Roberts P9, Nando Moreira P10, Elliot Noren P11, Race P12, Simeon Violo P13, Ivan Santamaria P14, Alexander Dimash P15, Leshan Rosenberg P16, Matthew Bassett P17, Javier Domine P18, Yaeste P19, and Sixten Lindhart P20. But yeah, wow. Wow.
Outrageous.
Absolutely outrageous. But, you know, something tells me that if a couple of these drivers were sitting in a GTO Mega chair, they might have felt a little bit more comfortable trying to go for a couple of those overtakes. That's all I'm saying. Because they are comforting. They you know, they warm your bosom. They give support to your arms. For me, maybe it would have helped them just a little bit.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree. Because I've got one right here.
Yeah, they're brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So, in case you're interested, I'm going to play it again, another rad. Maybe there might be a slight discount code in the description. Maybe. PSGL. To get yourself a cheeky discount on a brilliant chair. Maybe. If you're in the market for one, have a little look. Certainly no harm in clicking the link and having a little browse to see if there's anything there which would suit your needs. And as far as races go, That was fantastic, Alex. I mean,
I think it'd be best of the season.
Try and sum it up, mate. Just try.
Well, obviously we had the early stages where we saw Daniel Pirelli take the lead on those soft tyres, and then obviously we had the first safety car, which really spiced up the race. Then obviously we had that rain come down in the midway through the race, which really spiced it up again. All the drivers jumping into inters. We had some great battles through the midfield, and obviously we had a chase for the lead going on. And then obviously we had the second safety car, which brought out the dry conditions, and we had a great fight for in the dry. And we literally saw battles till the last lap, where, of course, Riccardo Benzoni picked up the win after 2 penalties for the TF10 boys in first and second. So that will be very interesting for TF10 to sort out. But in terms of the championship battle, it does change things around. I'm sure it will. But we'll find out as we go to our next round, which I believe it's coming home, Josh. I believe, is it coming home next week? Is that the track we're going to next week?
Allez les Bleus.
Oh.
It's
Not
France.
not-
It's not.
It's France.
It's
It's
not
not
Silverstone. It's
Silverstone.
France, mate.
I thought we were going to Silverstone.
You've just committed a federal crime.
Not again.
What? Well,
For legal reasons, we'd like to point out that I have never committed a federal crime.
well, on that bombshell, I feel like that's all we can say. I mean, we've gone from French Canada, hopping over to France, and I'm sure it'll be a fantastic race around Paul Ricard. But until then, we'll catch you same time, same place. If you're still in the market for some more sim racing and you've not had your needs scratched, we still have the F2 and F4 races going on at the minute over on the PSGL channel. Go check them out. I'm sure we can encourage a couple of you guys to go pop your heads in, say hi, say you sent from us, and yeah, other than that, we'll catch you around. See you next time.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Orpheus is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Orpheus now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Orpheus wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.